Okay, good morning everybody in the UK. Good afternoon, evening everyone in China, and well, good day everyone in between, and welcome to this webinar this morning on how to prepare for a trade show with Best of British. We've all heard about this fantastic new market in China, the strength of brand Britain, the middle class consumers who are desperate to chomp up and eat up all your products and services in China. And we've all heard about the different routes to market, e-commerce, setting up bricks and mortar there, all sorts of different routes. And we've also heard about the challenges. We've heard about things like IP, logistics, customs, distribution channels, all these sorts of things about getting your product to market. So we're going to have a look at some of those today. We're going to talk about and learn about the Best of British show. And we'll be talking to Simon Blazeby, Chao from Avenue 51, and our own Jack Porteous from CBBC. So just before we begin, I want to give a little bit of an introduction to those of you who don't know about the China-Britain Business Council. The China-Britain Business Council helps British and Chinese businesses and organizations work together in China, the UK, and third markets around the world. With 60 years of experience and experts in 11 UK offices and 15 Chinese locations, we operate alongside the British Chamber of Commerce in China to support companies of all sizes and sectors, whether they are new entrants or established operations, to realize the full potential of the fastest growing market in the world. Our unrivaled network of 140 staff across 26 locations understands the sectoral, geographical and cultural aspects of business success in China. This personal expertise is complemented by a range of CBBC events, research and consultative services tailored to meet the specific requirements of your company. As a partner of choice for British companies working in China, our diverse 1,000 strong membership includes some of the UK's largest and most established companies, some of the UK's most dynamic and innovative SMEs, as well as leading Chinese companies. We also promote the UK as the best place for Chinese companies to invest and do business. We cooperate closely with the Department for International Trade, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and across government to highlight export opportunities for UK companies and investment opportunities for Chinese organisations. As an independent organisation, CBBC offers trusted, impartial advice while maintaining close partnerships with the UK and Chinese governments. So that's just a little bit of background on who we are as an organisation. So I hope this is a valuable session for you this morning. We hope it is an interactive one. If you have any questions, please do type them into the area that I'm highlighting here, which should be your control panel. So if anything pops up as you're going along, type it in. If it's pertinent to the flow of the speaker at the time, I will happily ask it to the speaker as we go along. Otherwise, we'll save it to the end, and we'll also have a Q&A session at the end. What I would like, though, is if we could just ask people to click on the raise your hand button. Just click on that button there, and that will just allow me to confirm that you can hear me and I'm not speaking out into the ether. So if you could just click on the raise your hand button, that would be very, very helpful. Yes, I can see some hands going up. Brilliant. Thank you very much. All right, brilliant. Well, you've heard enough from me. Over to Simon. Simon, tell us a little bit more about this exciting Best of British show.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for logging in today. My name is Simon Blazeby. I am head of the commercial side of Best of British for Media 10, and I'm here to tell you about the Best of British show in Shanghai at the end of this October. Next slide, please. Before I tell you about Best of British, just a very quick introduction regarding Media 10. Media 10 is one of the UK's leading consumer events organisers, and one of the UK's and globally one of the leading trade show organisers. We organise 30 consumer and trade events around the world, including Design Shanghai in China, and also historically the Queen's Coronation Festival, which is one of the reasons why we have been chosen by our partners and ourselves to organise this Best of British showcase featuring the best of British products for the Chinese market. So, just to tell you a little bit about Best of British in a nutshell, you can see it there in the slide. We are presenting a showcase of premium British quality, innovation and excellence for 50,000 key trade contacts and high-end consumers. So this showcase is a hybrid event. It's an opportunity for over 2 days trade contacts, distributors, retailers, investors, etc., to be able to see the products that you will be presenting and engage in relationships, relationship building with you, but also for you to be able to test how your products are received in the marketplace over the weekend after those first 2 days. We are very fortunate to be supported not only by our friends at the CBBC, but also by the Department of International Trade, who will be taking a pavilion at the event, and by DEFRA, who together with Visit Britain will be helping us with the Taste of Britain showcase, which has the objective of educating Chinese trade and consumers regarding British food and British products. Next slide, please. So here you can see this really is just a selection of our members so far. We will be showcasing over almost 120 British brands in Shanghai, and we will be focusing across a number of different sectors that you can see represented by the logos of key British institutions there, across the consumer, food and drink, fashion and lifestyle, also mother and baby, sport and fitness sectors, also including, for example, education, basically a cross-section of representative high-end brands that Chinese consumers aspire to have and appreciate the quality of. Next slide, please. So our visitor profile, as I said, this is a hybrid showcase. So high-end luxury goods buyers and the affluent middle class. When I say buyers, I mean trade buyers as well. Overall, these buyers, whether they are in trade or whether they are our consumers, are of a particular socioeconomic group, well-educated overseas returnees, and warm to British lifestyle, British products, British quality. So we have extensive trade and consumer databases and extensive partnerships with key organisations which enable us to bring this key demographic and these key traders. Next slide, please. So regarding trade, we have 2 trade days where the first day is exclusively trade, and we'll be bringing various trade buyers. We will be running a buyer program with one-to-one face-to-face meetings and a series of events that we will also be doing together with the DIT. On the second day, we will also have trade events, but we will be inviting consumers into the showcase as well, and then more consumers at the weekend. Next slide, please. Regarding retail, this is what will be happening at the weekend, and Chao can really, when he speaks, tell you a little bit more about that. But after the 2 days of engaging in trade relationships and talking about distribution agreements, etc., the brands that are on board with us will have the opportunity to engage consumers via the online cross-border platform that we are presenting together with the Royal Mail and our partners at Avenue 51. I will let Chao talk you through a little bit more about the logistics of that, but effectively the long and short of it is that consumers at the show in the second in the final 2 days of the event will be able to, even if you are not present in China, snap your QR code and purchase your products to be sent from the Royal Mail warehouse in Twickenham cross-border over to them within 7 to 10 working days. Next slide, please. Okay, really this is for you to look at after this session. The show floor plan here is demonstrated. It's at the very opulent and well-known Chinese Shanghai Exhibition Center. As you can see, we have food and drink, home and interiors. We have a mother and baby section as well, and we have a sports section which is included in our lifestyle area, and a large section dedicated to fashion and style at the event with key brands that you have already seen in our brand list. Next slide, please. Just a very quick highlighting of some of our key features. The quintessential catwalk, or the catwalk, enables brands to get involved in showcases, whether it be their own showcase or whether it be multi-brand showcases that we have put together. So for fashion brands, even for mother and baby brands that are interested in our family fashion show, there is the opportunity to get involved in that. Next slide, please. And then with regards to the Taste of Britain Theatre and the Plough at Cadston, these are trade showcases, as are the fashion shows on the first 2 days. These are our trade showcases, educating traders regarding the range of British products that we have at the event, whether they be beers, ales, smoked salmon, teas, etc. And then after those first 2 days, this gives the opportunity for the high-level, high-end Chinese consumer to interact with these British products and find out more about their favourite tastes. Next slide, please. So just to kind of recap our, our credentials as Media 10, we have been organising events for almost the last 20 years. We organised the Queen's Coronation Festival very successfully, and it is through the relationship that we have with royal warrant holders and with key British brands that we showcased in the gardens of Buckingham Palace that we have been able to create such a solid critical mass for this Best of British showcase. As well as that, we have been in China for the last 5 years, organising Design Shanghai, which is Asia's largest design showcase. And as well as that, we also organise other well-known events such as the Ideal Home Show, Grand Designs, etc. You can visit our website for more information with regards to that. So we know how to put on a good show. Next slide, please.
All right.
And just to finish off, in terms of preparation, which I hope that I will receive a couple of questions regarding this, for brands that are considering participating, we know that October is only a couple of months away, the end of October, but what we offer are turnkey stamp packs with effectively everything that you would like to consider included, including interpreters, including showcases. Once you confirm with us, we will put you in touch with our dedicated trade liaison who will receive and speak to you about your needs and then go out and look for those buyers, those distributors, those retailers that we can then bring to the event and interact with you with regards to your business opportunities. We have a key partner that will hold your hand with regards to air freight, which is at a very assumable cost for you to be able to bring your samples on board to the show. The deadline is the 18th of September, so in about a month's time. Once you sign up, we put you in touch with our IP patent agent, who will then get the process going, which, as you will have been told, or as you will find out, once you get that registration process started, then you are protected, even if the registration finishes, after the event, because usually it takes about 6 months. But as long as you have done it before, that is absolutely fine. So, any questions about air freight, trade, or the stamp packages, then please do ask us, and we will be happy to provide you a all-inclusive turnkey package. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll pass over to...
Thanks very much, Simon. Yeah, we've got a few questions in. As with everything, one of the first questions is all about costs. Are you able online? I don't want to put a gun to your head here, live on a show, but are you able to give indicative costs for how much it might be for these brands?
Yes, certainly. In terms of costs, we are making participation pretty accessible. People have the choice of either participating in the DIT pavilion or directly through us. In each case, those costs are very, very similar because of the fact that we have kind of starter packages for people who haven't been in China before. Really what we're talking about is starting off for food companies at about £1,500 for the exhibition space. For fashion companies and mother and baby companies, a little bit more at about £2,000, £2,500, but once again, we can tailor that to your needs. With regards to air freight, the cost for that for about 100 kilos of samples is around about £1,500 once again, so about the same price as the sand, or a little bit less in the case of fashion, interiors and mother and baby and sport. And then with regards to other costs such as interpreters, that's £100 a day. Hotels will cost you around about £800 for the 7-day period. Flights will cost you about in between £500 and £750, depending on whether you go economy or premium economy, obviously more if you want to go business. Basically, all in all, for everything excluding meals and entertainment, you're talking about a starting cost of about £5,000, £5,500 all in.
Okay, thank you, Simon. I realise I put you on the spot with a hard one first time round, so hopefully we'll give you some other questions as well. In terms of say stand displays, is it all fixed and that they give you content and you print out the boards, or do companies bring over their own marketing materials? And if they do bring over their own materials and collateral, do you support with that process as well?
Absolutely. We have a company that can print out graphics, and really the stands are very well set up. They are set up with, depending on the function of your company, plinths, display cases, etc. And then you can send over the graphics artwork and you can get them printed out for starting off with, £100 up to, £500, £600, £700, depending on how extensive you want to make the display. Obviously, just a small point, because I know that on this call are a couple of larger Chinese communications agencies. What these costs and this package that I'm explaining is aimed at is the international companies looking to get into the Chinese market. There are also companies such as Rolls-Royce, such as various other companies that have a very strong presence in the Chinese market, and they tend to go bigger, be focused on the PR, the extensive marketing coverage that we're having that is going to be reaching around about 100,000 people a week leading up to the event. And they tend to go in a lot larger for the high impact multi-channel campaign.
Okay, good. Thanks very much. I'm going to move on to Chao. I know we have another couple of questions so for those of you who have asked a question, we'll just save it till the end, but I just want to move on with the presentation. So I'm just going to make sure that in one of these great Houston, are you out there moments, we'll just unmute Chao. Hello, Chao. Can you hear us?
Hi, good morning, David.
All right, brilliant. You sound like you're at the bottom of a very deep cave, but hopefully that will improve over time. You should be able to see your slides, so please jump in and make your presentation.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Chao, and I'm from Avenue 51. So Avenue 51 helps British companies to access the Chinese market. We mainly focus on online support, which includes providing sales channels, marketing, logistics, and IT. So Avenue 51 has been working with Royal Mail, and we are the TP for the Royal Mail Tmall store. So for the Best of British event, Royal Mail is a lead sponsor, and what it means for the Best of British exhibitors means that you guys can be part of the Royal Mail Tmall store, and it will be free if you are an exhibitor, and it means that your products will be showcased on the world's largest marketplace. So just to tell you guys a little bit more about the Royal Mail Tmall store, the Royal Mail store is the best performing multi-brand, multi-category store on Tmall Global. For anyone who doesn't know about Singles Day, It's very similar to Black Friday, but many times bigger. And the Royal Mail Tmall store was a top 20 growth store on Alibaba. So it means for any exhibitors who is looking to not only showcase your products at the event, you can also have your products listed on Tmall, and at the very least you'll be able to know what type of clients who are viewing a product, the type of products they're clicking into, which regions, because Tmall can give you very precise data about the customers who are either buying or inquiring about your product. So it's great for market research, and also you'll be able to sell your product at the same time. David, next page, please. So one of the key fundamentals to selling cross-border is logistics. We've had many clients, their products are very popular on Tmall or through cross-border, yet they really struggle with the logistics. The advantage of going on to the Royal Mail Tmall store is that Royal Mail has multiple logistics options. So depending on your product, so if you are a luxury product, then we would recommend solutions such as postal or personal direct entry. The advantage is due to duties. If you are a FMCG or in food or in baby, then either B2C or bonded warehouse is the best, because logistics costs are cheaper and you are able to get the goods into the client's hands much faster. So the table here lists out all the advantages of each of the delivery options. Next page, please, David. So as part of being on the Royal Mail Tmall store, we do a lot of advertising with the brands that's listed. So one of our biggest supporters of the Royal Mail store is Waitrose, and Waitrose was the first UK brand to be doing a live streaming with Tmall in the UK, and the event was extremely successful. The first live streaming launched the Waitrose wine into China, and it also highlights that at this moment in time, lots and lots of brands are looking to get onto Tmall or looking to sell their products through cross-border into China. So in order for particularly SMEs to make their brand stand out, it's very important that you do something different and to really get close to the consumers, which is why Best of British is a fabulous platform to launch, but also you need to provide content online. Quite often with Chinese consumers, they see products listed on Tmall, or they see advertising. The first thing they'll do is they'll go on to search engines or social media to check up on the brand. So what we recommend is things like live streaming or short video clips posted on various Chinese networks, in order for when the consumers do their research, they can see and find out about your brand. So I'm just going to quickly go through a case study. So next page, please, David. So we did a live stream with Lily Charm on the Alibaba platform. So Lily Charm is a jewelry brand, and they are a relatively small company, a couple million turnover, and a team of 5 to 10 people. So we had one of our lead live streaming presenters who linked up with Alibaba, and we did a live stream at the Lily Charms design studio. So during the live streaming, we attracted over 100,000 viewers. We had over 1 million likes, and the consumers were able to ask questions to the designers and to the founders of the company. So if we go to the next page, please, thank you. So you'll see that on week 25 is when we did the live stream, and if you look at the previous weeks, the sales were steady, but on the week that we conducted the live streaming, sales went up, and it continued for 3 weeks afterwards. And the live stream video can be used in multiple other channels after the event. So it was a very worthwhile event for the brand, and this is also something we will be doing at the Best of British events, where we'll have our bloggers streaming the Royal Mail stands. On the Royal Mail stands, if you're exhibiting, then the consumers are able to purchase straight away on site. We have 4 effectively checkout points that with tablets and computers, where they can log on to the Royal Mail Tmall store and they can make a purchase straight away. Because Alibaba is a strong supporter of Best of British, Tmall will be pulling in a lot of online consumers. So for anyone who are unable to attend the event, they're able to go onto Tmall, go onto Alibaba, and they're able to view the exhibitors who are exhibiting and have their products listed on Tmall. So overall, I think it's a fabulous event for particularly SMEs who are looking at China, and this is a great event to launch, but also to sell your products at the same time. So next page, please. So that's the end. If anyone have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, Chao. I think that's a really important message for people listening today. So part of attending Best of British, there's also a broader logistics issue. There's also a broader market entry issue. How digital is so important and plays into marketing and visibility for companies. And I think that sort of leads us on to Jack, who's my colleague here, the Retail Sector League at the China Britain Business Council. Jack, how is it that companies can get support from our organisation?
Yeah, so David introduced CBBC at the start of the webinar, and we, apart from webinars, organise a whole host of events as well. We've got some specific e-commerce events coming up, some of them jointly with Avenue 51 and the Royal Mail about their specific solution, but also other events that are more broadly about digital strategy, e-commerce strategy, and selling into China. We are pretty generous. If you're a member of CBBC, you can come along for free to those events. If you are not a member, there's usually a small charge that essentially covers our costs. So I would encourage you to go to our website, cbbc.org, look at the What's On calendar and look for e-commerce events near you in the not too distant future. Also worth mentioning, I think David will later as well, that our SME Forum, which is in September in Bristol, will have quite a lot of content on this topic as well. So do you want me to just get on with
Absolutely,
with my presentation? So good morning, everybody, and I'm trying to be quite exuberant because I know that some of you will be multitasking and I want to get your attention back. I just want to run through a few things very briefly about preparing for Best of British, but also preparing for trade shows in China more generally, and things that you might want to think about and that you may not have thought about in the past. So the first one, which is the first thing that anybody will probably tell you about China, is that you need to get your trademark registered if you're going to be exhibiting in market. Even famous brands have fallen victim to trademark squatting. People like New Balance had a shocking time with it, all the way down to much smaller brands as well. who have had their trademarks hijacked by a local entrepreneur, as the Chinese would describe it, I think, or somebody who's opportunistically taken the trademark because you haven't registered it first. And with China being a first-to-file system, there is no such thing as bad faith in the Chinese legal system for registering trademarks. So then whoever gets it is the legal owner of that IP. You risk closing the offline channel of B2B if another company registers your brand before you do. So I can't really state how strongly enough how important this is for those of you who haven't done it. If you haven't, please do contact CBBC. We can connect you with qualified lawyers who are members of CBBC who can help you with that process. Next page, please, David. So some other considerations. So best of British, you've got a couple of days of trade and a couple of days of direct to consumer. So you need to be quite clear on your pricing and make sure that if there is a mix of trade and consumer there, that you know who you're speaking to and that you're quoting the right prices at the right people, because they're going to vary wildly between the two, I'm sure. Be clear, if you're delivering to China, if you've got that set up or you're expecting the Chinese buyer to pick up from you, that might put them off. For the more kind of international e-marketplaces and people like that, they might be willing to get it from your warehouse in the UK. Or you can talk to people like Avenue 51, other logistics companies as well, who can help you with those solutions. For the consumer days, be clear in advance about your prices. They won't be the same as your UK RRP necessarily if you're incorporating taxes, etc. I'm sure that Media 10 would be happy to advise on that kind of thing in advance. Chinese speakers on your stand can make a world of difference, I've said. Simon mentioned that you can book interpreters through Media 10. If you have your own Chinese member of staff, that's probably even better because they understand your brand. But especially for engagement with consumers, I would highly recommend having somebody who can speak the language. Having WeChat and business cards for trade contacts is incredibly important. So if you've never heard of WeChat, I would highly recommend that you get yourself on the Google Play or Apple Store and download it. It is free to download. There is a little symbol being highlighted helpfully by my glamorous assistant David there. And WeChat is a great tool for maintaining contacts. Afterwards, you can scan somebody's code, you're then connected, you can send each other messages. Beware that this might impact on your free time, as people will then message you at any hour of the day, especially given the time difference with China, but it is quite an effective way of following up. Business cards, make sure you take more than you think you would ever need for a 4-day show, even if it's only 2 days trade. I would also recommend, unless you can read Chinese, make sure that you make notes in a notebook about the contacts that you have made, because otherwise you're going to end up with a pile of 50 business cards and 30 WeChat contacts, and they've all got Chinese names, and you can't remember who's who or what's what. So I would strongly recommend that you have some kind of organisation system planned in advance. Best of British is a great opportunity as well because of the consumer-facing days to maximise your social media impact while you're in China. If you already have channels on WeChat, on Weibo, then make sure that you're getting new followers while you're there and you're capitalising on that opportunity. You literally have an audience in front of you who are interested in your product. Make sure that you're turning them from a one-time customer at the Best of British into a repeat customer. Get them dragged in on your social media activity. I've suggested you might consider some kind of promotion, a prize draw to be done after the show for all the new followers, something like that. I'm sure marketeers among you have got other ideas too. Remember, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, Twitter, and Google are all unavailable in China, which is quite a diplomatic way of putting it, I think. On a practical level, if your work email is hosted on Google, then you're not going to be able to access them. So just if that's going to affect you, be aware of it in advance. Next slide, please.
Sure. I think it's always worth saying, Jack, at this point, QR codes. I think Western marketers like to roll their eyes at the QR code because it looks clunky and like a chessboard that drank too much or something. But in the UK, sorry, in China, it is the direct access to your whole world. So, I mean, in terms of printing collateral and having backgrounds and pull-ups and all of that kind of stuff, having QR codes is an important thing, right?
It is. I mean, you could even consider getting it tattooed on yourself if you're that committed to the Chinese market. But just don't lose access to your WeChat account if you do that. In terms of follow-up after the show, I've said be sure to follow up in a timely manner. That, of course, is challenging after any trade show if you've developed a lot of new contacts, but especially with good leads, make sure that you're not leaving it weeks and weeks and weeks. Don't expect progress to be immediate. We just took a group out to the Children, Baby and Maternity Expo in Shanghai in July. I'm talking to the brands who we took out quite regularly, and they are saying they're not making much progress yet. There's a couple that are edging towards deals, but it takes a few months for you to get there. So, have patience. WeChat emails and calls to follow up when necessary. Chinese speaker in your organization might be invaluable at that point. Prioritize who you are following up with. Make sure you've identified who the best leads are, who the ideal partners are. Talk to the CBBC and DIT and Media 10 staff who are going to be on site at Best of British for the entire show. If you've been approached by a retailer and you've never heard of them and you just want to know kind of what are they legit, then ask the question, make sure you're getting a little bit of impartial advice as well, and be aware that a further trip to China might be required to maximise on promising leads if you get a lot of them. Face-to-face time is incredibly valuable. Next slide, please. David has broadly covered this already, so I'm not going to go through it, but I did want to say that is our enquiries email address at the bottom, enquiries@cbbc.org. Contact us. If you are looking for advice on this, on other China issues, you'll be directed to a local advisor from there. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from you and helping you grow in China.
All right, well, thank you very much, Jack. If you have any questions, please do type them in. We're just coming towards the end of our session. We've gone a little bit over time. Chao, I brought you back into the conversation, so we can hear you. I have one question for Simon. Thus far, Simon, how many UK brands are participating in Best of British? Do you have a handle on that now? And giving us some idea of the demographic, the sectors, that kind of thing.
Yes, we're expecting over 100 brands to be participating in Best of British, potentially up to around about 120, depending on the confirmations that happen over the next few weeks. With regards to the makeup, it is around 50% international brands and around 50% brands that have some kind of presence in China. In terms of the strongest representation by sector, we have a strong representation in the fashion and luxury sector, as you would expect, a strong representation in the food and drink sector, as I'm sure you would expect as well. We have around 8 brands in the mother and baby sector, including mother care, and for example, Little Freddie, for example, Ella's Kitchen, who we're expecting to bring on, and a few others. And then in the sport and sportswear categories, we have a number of brands as well. On top of that, we have a strong representation from interiors and design with some key players there. So really it is quite a broad spectrum of brands that we have on board. Not forgetting, of course, our headline sponsor, British Airways, who will be presenting a showcase of historic British aviation, and as well will be working with DEFRA and Visit Britain in order to promote food and other tourism over to the UK by Chinese trade and consumers.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for that. I think perhaps we're coming to the end of the session in terms of time. I want to keep it to a decent 40 minutes or so. So for any of those of you who have sent some questions in that we haven't answered, we'll get back to you individually. Just one thing I'd like to highlight before we wrap up again today is our SME China Forum. So this is one of our national level events. We hold an all singing, all dancing conference in London every year in March, but our SME China Forum is our other national level conference that we move around the UK. It's been held in Manchester, Birmingham, Nottingham, Glasgow, and in its 5th iteration, which is this year, we're bringing it down to Bristol. So please do have a look at that. This is absolute, stripped back advice and practical advice for UK companies looking to enter the China market. So please, if you're in that region, do check it out and do join us. I think that's pretty much it for today. I'd like to say thank you to Simon, thank you to Chao, and thank you to Jack. If you have anything that you'd like to follow up with, please do get in touch with CBBC at inquiries@cbbc.org, and we'd be delighted to follow up. Thanks very much, and wish you all great business with China. Have a great day. Bye.